Now, the real you, Fred, is it the person who comes in here and is like, hey, whatever you need, I'll do it? Or is the real you the weird stalking guy who paints pictures of women and follows them around when they do stand-up?
It's probably the weird stalking guy. A lot of how I act in like a workplace is I'll think, what's my instinct, and then I'll do the opposite of it. Like, if I think, oh, you should help out with something, my instinct is like, I don't want to help out. But then I'll think, well, then I should, because it's my instinct to not
So
want.
whatever your instinct, whatever the real you says do, is the worst part of you.
Watching the show Dexter helped a lot, in like a weird way, because he does a lot of the opposite, where he had like those urges to kill, and then his dad was telling him, no, do the opposite of that when you're with people, and then you'll be okay. And I was like, oh, that's a really interesting way to look at things.
All right, let's put up and I'm glad Dexter helped you in a way no one else could.
You have a code.
Let's put up the picture that we have right now, and this is the painting that you did of Bonnie McFarlane. And you can, what's the search on the site for people to see it?
If you just search Bonnie in the search box, it'll come up.
If you search Bonnie in the search box, it will come up. This was a painting that you did how long ago?
I think it was 6 years ago at this point. But it was 2005 or maybe 7. 6 or 7. It was a long time ago.
6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I want you to be honest about this.
Okay.
Did you use this internship? Did you use me to get closer to Bonnie?
No, I didn't, because I didn't know that there would be a Bonnie McFarlane Unmasked. And I never imagined when I did this that she would ever see it. It was never intended.
When she saw it, was it a good thing for you or a bad thing?
It felt like a bad thing.
Why? What was bad about it?
Because it's because it's just, I know it's weird.
Now, did you think that it was good when Voss and Bonnie did not want you to watch their child, that they were afraid of you?
I felt like that was a bad thing.
What would you say to Bonnie about this painting if you had the opportunity?
I'd say, I hope you're not creeped out by it. I think you're very funny, and I just wanted to express myself in a way.
Then why are you so embarrassed about it?
Because it wasn't meant to be an expression that it was just like a personal thing. Like, some art is just for yourself. Like, it's not always for the other person.
So this was just for you. It wasn't for her. Now, why did you have the ball hitting her in the ass?
It's a dodgeball.
Yeah, but did she play dodgeball?
I don't know. She may have. I'm sure everybody's played dodgeball.
At what age would she have been playing this dodgeball game?
I don't know, like 9?
This is a 9-year-old.
That's a 9-year-old to you.
No, it's a woman. She's got, a womanly shape to her and nice thighs and...
Yeah. So when you painted this, you never thought that she would see it.
No.
Let alone that she would do an Unmasked with us and then us going, we have an intern that could watch your kids.
Yeah, because I told somebody just in like a private thing, which I've never really even told anybody about this. Like, only my family knows. It's just like a weird painting. They don't even know who it's of.
Well, they had to find it, right?
Yeah.
They've had to find this. So no one at all knows that it's Bonnie.
Yeah.
Bonnie just walked in.
Hi, Bonnie McFarlane.
Hello,
Hey.
creepies. Oh my god. This is so funny because I was just listening to a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And I've never seen the picture, actually.
Okay.
I've only seen it on my phone. Oh, so this is the...
Now, you can explain this to us, Fred. You painted this when?
I painted this in like a painting class in 2005.
All right,
It's like,
2005.
So you were like, yeah, you had to find something
Yeah.
to paint, so you...
it's
Googled everything about me.
Isn't that weird?
But why would you make the ball coming out of my ass like that?
It was the first oil painting that I did, and it's about 4x5, so it's a large, canvas. So it's difficult to really work with that medium. It was.
Wow, wow, wow.
I feel like I should get some leeway in that.
Also, I've had a kid now, so maybe it's more appropriate now. But back then, I was in tip-top shape, man. That's not.
Okay. This looks nothing like you've ever looked like in your life. I mean, first of all, you're focusing on the ass, the legs, the stomach. What he did to your face.
I can't even.
Yes.
I like how he's blurred it. So
yes.
I couldn't get it right. So we just kind of blurred that part.
Again, we're still learning, but there are other things that I'm more interested in.
I think you should. This is obviously not your talent, painting, and I think you should just stick to what you're good at, which is being creepy. All right. And I think you should just go full force into that.
Now, this was the weird thing, because I didn't know about the painting, but the day that you guys came in to do the Unmasked, which, by the way, you guys were so goddamn funny.
Oh, thank you.
People are still writing to me about it and talking about it.
I thought you were getting upset with me. I thought you were kind of eye rolling, all right, enough. Stop trying to. This is a serious interview. And
No. It was really great, because I do think that's you guys. I think everything about you came out in that, and it was
really fun to do.
It was really funny, and of course, in some cases, just horrifying to see the way two people,
very cringy. Yes.
Yeah, but the funniest thing is that the timing that you guys have together is phenomenal. But the weird way that this intern, that I didn't know about the painting.
I didn't know about the painting.
And
I didn't know about the intern, yeah.
When I got here and we said, okay, the intern's going to watch your kid, it was him. And you said, no, he was jumping around a lot.
Very ants in your pants kind of thing going on. And I felt like he was just giving off this real pedophile vibe.
It definitely was. And here's the weird thing.
Around kids, he got too excited.
Yeah.
But this is, it's like a professional interview. Why would I molest,
But why were you jumping around? Because I saw it when I got there before.
I like how that's his excuse. No, in another setting, a more casual setting, I might.
Then I might molest the child.
But not in a professional.
We've got work to do. We can't.
It's a workplace. I respect that.
Yeah. So that was the fact that you idolize Bonnie.
Yeah.
To be told he's too creepy and kid touchy to be around my child.
I read it right away.
Yeah, you were onto it.
But that's what I like about her. She's really perceptive.
Yeah, she definitely was with that.
Here, you can touch me. Go ahead. There you go.
Very soft.
Now, he also came to one of your shows.
I don't think this is really real. I think this is all built up for, he had to do some painting or something, so there.
No. The reason why you painted is when she was on TV, right?
Yeah, I saw you on Last Comic Standing.
Right, so I was on, that's why I had done, I was going to do a CD that said first one out, and then that was going to be, not the painting.
You can have it.
Oh, because you were the first one out of the show.
I was the first one out on, when the top 10.
And you got a lot of heat off that show, right?
I got a lot of negative heat.
Yeah.
This is the first I've ever known of anyone liking me.
See?
The heat you got from me was all positive.
Well, they thought you were bitchy?
Yeah, I guess I kind of got painted. I mean, my sense of humor is pretty mean.
Yeah.
So it really reads on a reality show as
awful
the C
person.
word. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're allowed to say anything you want here.
Oh, okay. I didn't know how far I was allowed to go.
All right. So this to know that there was one weird guy. Now, did you have the?
And you never emailed me or anything, did you? You never tried to get in contact with me?
No, because I knew that would be creepy. I didn't.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Painting a picture of me. Having a shrine to me in your home. No, that's you're right.
4x5. Do you realize how big that is?
No. Oh yeah, we've never seen the physical painting.
It's a big, it's a big. Nice,
show me with your hands, like how.
It's probably like this wide.
Oh God, that's nuts.
But do you still have it?
Yeah, it's in my parents' house.
Oh, your parents.
It's in their living room.
They're confronted with his oddities every day.
All right, this is some sketch work that he did of you. And he had.
What? There's more? Are you kidding me?
He had you sign it. Now, where did you go?
Where did I sign that. That is my signature.
Where did you meet her at?
It was Fast Eddie's in Northern Virginia. It was you guys were in the basement, I think. And
I don't recall.
A gig so bad.
I like how though he gave me a penis. It looks like he's giving me a penis in that picture. What is really going on inside your head?
The thing is, you have a penis, but you lack a nose.
I know. It's like he put the nose way down.
Now you put the. Do you agree to marry me and love me forever?
Was that on there when I signed it?
no, it wasn't. I thought
I'm not sure I would have. That seems like a legal document now at this point.
I thought it would be funny to write that on there. It's a little
Funny
joke.
for who though? No one else got to see it.
Funny for everybody, you know. He knew years from that.
You are fucking John Hinckley. That's who you are right now.
How long did it take you? Well, also there's a puddle underneath me, like I've just peed
That's a
myself.
shadow, okay?
Oh.
Again, this was in 2005. I had not developed my skills.
And Rich Voss. Come on.
Now, did Rich sign that?
No, Rich didn't.
So you
Rich, by the way, is furious that this is going on.
What is he mad
can't
about?
believe he thinks it's disrespectful of the intern to talk about it after I'm married.
Yeah.
Was I married to Rich when you were?
No.
Was Rich around? Is that also me or that's someone else from?
That's
the show?
someone else. That's
Oh
other.
my
Those are other
God.
things.
Now, Rich was there at Fast Eddie's, though, right?
Yeah, it was both of them together.
Well, this might be the only way to handle that is to have you and Rich fight.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be the only thing, and if you win the fight.
Can
Finally.
I just tell you something? He's fond of the roundhouse kick.
All right,
So-
stay in close. Stay in close. Don't let him get far enough that he can kick.
I don't
Have
know.
you ever
if
been in a fight?
No, I told you that one large thuggish black girl punched me once in high school, but
You
no,
still
I've
haven't
never been in a
gotten
fight.
over that. He's still bruised.
Now I'm worried that she's going to come walking in here too, and it's going to be all these haunting things from my past.
You should see the portrait she got.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
Oh, you're sad.
But as a person, he's sad. Not just sad now.
Yeah,
just
no, I mean he's not sad. You're laughing, but no. we
Overall.
see inside.
Overall, yeah, outside.
I'm flattered. I am.
But your husband
and
isn't.
Creeped out, but flattered.
But I'm really glad that you're on to the fact that you knew that there was danger to your child. I think that is so
It's a mother's-
perceptive. Yeah.
There was definitely no danger to your child that night.
Well, because he
That
really
night.
was like when he met, he was like like jumping up like
Yeah.
that and like, okay, follow. Like I thought that you might have had like some kind of Tourette's or you were on the spectrum somewhere.
The weird thing is, we've never seen you act like that before or since.
But they didn't know, nobody knew at that point.
None of us knew.
No, I'd never told anybody about this.
When he said, "Oh, yeah, by the way, Rich is coming in to do Unmasked, and he's going to bring Bonnie with him."
Yeah.
That's when it all started.
That's when the
The
weirdness
weird
started.
feelings that you hadn't had since high school.
Yeah.
I think you should date a black thuggish girl.
I think he
what
is
I
a black thuggish girl. It's just he doesn't know it yet.
Do you date girls?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You say you do very well now, right?
Yeah, I do well. I'm not dating anybody currently. It's kind of a dry spell, but normally I do.
When's the last date you've had?
It was in December.
Santa?
No, it wasn't Santa Claus.
2011? December 2009.
No, it was 2011, and
Was it a real girl or one of your pictures? One of the drawings that you did?
she was real.
He's got, like, full- No, you're very cute. You obviously do very well if you
Thank you.
keep the jumping under control.
Well, you were an awkward kid, but it's all kind of worked out for you now, right?
Yeah, I feel like I've taken that and I've been able to harness it.
Well, you came to the right place. I mean, New York is where you kind of want to be a weirdo. You don't want to be a regular guy in New York.
can't.
They end up staying in fucking Richmond and having a dull life.
Yeah, in Virginia, people just they don't appreciate you the same.
Yeah. And look at you. You were able to come to New York, meet the love of your teenage years.
This has to be like a big deal for you right now.
Yeah, it's
But you're over it now, right? It's not.
kind of, but it's like one of those things where you think
Kind
you're
of.
over, and then all of a sudden it all comes swarming back, and you get all these emotions
Well,
swirling
what are
around
the
in you.
emotions that you're going through right now?
I don't know. It's nervousness, I guess.
I mean,
don't
at this
usually get
point, I'm
nervous.
like an old lady. I'm
It's not-
married.
I don't-
I have a kid. I'm not like. Yeah, back then I was playing dodgeball every day.
Were you like a jock when you were a kid?
I was pretty sporty.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And growing up on the farm?
I grew up on a farm. I had a cow. I milked a cow every day, every morning and every night.
You were...
Which is why I'm so good with the fellas.
Yeah, why the guys like you so much.
I did very well in high school.
She's milking them all. But you knew that you were like, this is the wrong world for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I think is the best thing that could happen to a kid. I think the best thing that can happen,
miserably
is to just go, this is a place to get out of. That's why I think the bullying thing doesn't take into effect of you can leave when you get older.
Right.
You don't have to stay in fucking Squareville.
There's something about high school where, like, bringing up those memories of high school, you still feel like it feels so serious at the time. But if anything happened like that in the real world, you'd just be like, it's just some asshole.
Right.
And you
Well,
would
it's
push
getting
him
you
out of your
ready
life.
for the real world. Because you're a kind of person that got bullied in high school, right?
Yes.
And then you're also going to get bullied in the real world. So it's good for you. I think bullying was a positive thing for you.
But nobody's going to, like,
I do too.
Nobody's going to pull your pants down, though, in the real world.
Oh,
It's like-
yes. Oh, yes. You go to Avenue A? Mm-hmm.
It can happen. People pulled your pants down?
Not me specifically, but...
Oh,
they've
come
done
on. Oh, it happened to a friend.
Yeah.
You've actually seen that happen?
Saw it happen today.
Here's what I think that you need to remember for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say this to any young people out there. If you're in school and you're not fitting in, you got to deal dope. And you will make so many friends.
And tough friends.
Yeah. Friends that'll be like, you know what? Leave this dude alone. He's all right. He's always going to join every time I see him.
Mm-hmm. Good advice.
You didn't do dope at all when you were a kid?
No, I
like
never
that
have.
he calls it dope, because dope is heroin.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
But
never.
I think he's talking about pot.
I'm not.
I've never touched any drugs. I've never felt the urge.
You've
to
done
do
all
any of them.
this sans drugs?
Yes. I feel like if anything I'm going to do, it should come from just a pure place of...
When you did this sketch, your little cartoon sketch of Bonnie, were you watching her do stand-up? Was this in the club, or did you bring it?
I was in the club.
So while she's doing stand-up, you were sketching her to say, I'm going to show her this after.
Yeah. I show her a little sketch.
You're a weird fucking kid.
Can't wait to show it.
Was I nice when I signed that?
Yeah, I think you were. I think you were very nice. You're like, I think you said something like, oh, this is a nice little picture.
Oh.
Nice
Did it
and
have the other
dismissive.
persons on it then, too?
Probably not.
Oh. You just ran out of paper?
No, you said Rich was there that night?
Yeah, he was there. He went on second. Yeah.
And
No.
then you drew a little picture of Rich there.
But you didn't ask him to sign it?
No, I didn't ask. I didn't feel like I needed to ask Rich to sign it.
And then
You
were-
never felt the same way about Rich that you felt about
Because
me.
I felt like, what's he doing here? Like, I came here to see Bonnie.
Right.
What
How
are they
dare
doing
he.
together?
You didn't
Like, it
even
was
know that
kinda-
they were a couple then?
No, I didn't. It was like, what are they doing here together?
I don't remember that place.
Yeah,
And I don't remember you.
How was her set that night?
You're never going to forget me now.
Did I do well?
Yeah, you guys were very funny.
You guys, can't you just give me the compliment?
Well, you were very funnier.
Thank you.
You were very funnier.
Thank
You were
you.
very funnier than Rich.
Do you listen to our podcast?
I haven't checked it out yet.
It hurts too much.
I can't. Yeah, sometimes when I hear you with him, it hurts a little bit.
Just sit next to the volume control and just keep turning it down when Rich is talking.
Well, I do trash him a lot,
It makes me feel. a
so
little
that might make you feel better.
In some way, I feel like it's going to end at some point, and then maybe I'll have a shot. Like
it's
I feel
going to
like
end at some point.
maybe.
Yeah, well,
Oh, you
he's
mean-
old. He's going to die before
Yeah.
me. Yeah. So,
Obviously, I know it wasn't going to be the first, but there's a possibility of second or third.
well, you are my type. Okay.
Now, what about him that makes him your type? What is it?
He goes against classical.
Way against it.
Thank you.
So Rich is now hearing you saying that
he's into comedy and he thinks
Yeah.
I'm funny, which is really the
is what you love.
main things. Yeah.
But here now, then you marry a guy who, quite frankly, tries to top every joke that you have.
I like that. That's a challenge for me. I think it's made me a better comic.
Your marriage is like just a shootout. It's
Yeah.
like two people
Yes.
firing back and forth.
Well, yeah, you say we have good timing. That's because
Yeah.
we're doing it. Like yesterday we were doing it, and then we were like, we should be recording this for the podcast.
Oh.
We just are. It just is that.
But see, that's the thing, because now you've taken it to when are you off? When are you not working? You know, you're doing stand-up. You have a podcast. If something happens, we'll save it for the show. Because that's what we all do to each other. But we, have lives away from each other. But if I come in and one of these guys starts telling me something about the other guy, I'm like, shut up. Save it for the air.
Right.
Do it there. So now, if something Rich did, you're going to wait until the podcast.
No.
So you're in front of a mic.
No, because you know why? It's like Rich is so thick-headed that we have these conversations over and over and over because, I'm like your typical wife, I guess. I'm like, please, I have to keep explaining it until you get it. It won't get dropped. So these conversations have all been had before.
No, so you guys don't think that you're putting anything in jeopardy by airing this out?
We feel like we don't have anything to lose. It's such a tiny little bond to begin with.
You said the funniest thing too. That you said that when you first dated him, that if anyone found out that you would have to get married because you did not think that you would be dateable after the fact.
No, that was it for me.
That line just slayed me.
That's
because the truth that was in her face as she told this.
I know. I remember people being like, "Who are you dating? Who are you dating?" Oh,
some guy.
Just keeping it open.
You don't know him. He's just a fella. Just a good dude.
That's definitely not true, though.
What? That I wouldn't be dateable?
Yeah.
That I'd still have you?
Seriously.
That's good to know when I go to bed at night.
I don't mind being plan B. I mean, it's fine.
Do you honestly
you do honestly think you'd be plan B? You don't think that I have a plan B already?
You don't. Seriously, is there a universe that this would work out for you?
Well, apparently in this one, now I'm here sitting with Bonnie when I never would have imagined that I would.
It's getting closer, and the more that he won't. I'm being mean to him, and he won't be like, you know what? Now that I met you, you're an asshole. Forget it. I think he still has love in his eyes, which is making me realize maybe this is the guy.
I told you.
I like that kind of persistence.
It's really weird, but if it works, it works. But I think, did you come to New York to meet her? Is that why you came here to intern for us and started your Upright Citizens Brigade? Was this the whole plan?
Wait, you work at the Upright Citizens Brigade?
Well, I take classes there.
Classes.
He's a student.
Oh, how's it going there?
It's going great. It's amazing.
Good place to go.
Yeah. But no, not specifically Bonnie, but I did come here to, be able to have the opportunity to meet all these people.
I like how he didn't paint like a beautiful portrait at all.
No, it's frightening.
He shows a picture where I'm like angry, kind of. I'm getting hit in the ass with a ball.
Here's what it reminds me of. It's like when you're doing acid with another person, and then you look up and they seem like they're the demon to you. You know what I mean? It's like, what? This is the only other person I'm tripping with,
right.
And this is what they look like right now.
Well, you don't want to paint something boring that's been done before, just a regular old portrait. You want to do something new and interesting.
Well, I will say this. The background trees are really good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, the podcast is My Wife Hates Me, and it's at riotcast.com/My Wife Hates Me. Did Rich, was this the initial name for it?
No, I actually came up with a different name, and then at the last minute, I said, you know what? I think we need to call it My Wife Hates Me.
What was the original name?
We said we'd never do a podcast.
Oh, see, this is a better name. Mm-hmm. This is actually a better name.
And also, I was, I had to let him know somehow.
I think he knows. But the amazing thing about Rich is it doesn't seem like it phases him.
He likes the challenge.
Yeah, he's okay with it.
Yeah. I think if I was just really like, when I am, sweet with him and try to cuddle with him and stuff, he'll be like, buzz off. Like he's really.
You guys need to live on that edge all the time.
Yeah.
I
saw him flirting the other night with a woman, though.
Really?
And it blew my mind. Because I was actually happy, because he doesn't like women, generally speaking. He doesn't have tolerance for them. And especially women who are drinking, he's,
no time for it.
He's put off by it.
But for some reason, this one gal.
And she was laughing at him. Oh, my God. I saw a little sparkle in his eye. I was like, yeah, you get it.
Was this at a club?
It was at the Gotham Christmas party, which they had after. They had it Monday night.
They always do that after Christmas there.
Yeah. And then they try to go around trying to, with propaganda, they're all like, isn't this better that it's after the holidays? I mean, you can find parking. There's no traffic at the tunnel. Isn't it better? Yeah, it's really good, you guys.
December 26th, you stop thinking about Christmas. Christmas is done the second that day's over. And you just, any spirit or any wanting to keep it going, no, let's just stop it. Tear all this shit down.
Right. I knock on people's houses and go, let's get this shit off.
Just take it down.
Enough with the blow-up Santa.
I do like the one house that'll leave shit up, even through August, though.
I know. The meth addicts?
Yes, the tweaker pad. Just they're in their house. And you know that's the house. Don't fuck with those people. Those people are on the edge.
Right.
And they are ready to throw down. They don't give a shit about anything.
Because they had some, they had a little extra energy right before Christmas to put it all,
Yeah. And now something happened that made them feel like, nah, I'm not going back out there again.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Now, here, a lot of strange things happen with you. I did read about you over Christmas.
Oh.
When a guy killed himself and brought you up in
Let's just, first of all, let's clarify that I didn't have anything to do.
No.
Specifically.
But it was his...
I knew the man. He was a ex-Saturday Night Live writer, Joe Bodalai. And he... so I was just playing around on my brand new iPad, and I clicked on this story on the Huffington Post, and it was shocking because I knew him, and he had tried to get in touch with me a couple of times before Christmas, and I didn't tweet him back or email him back.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. I mean, there's more history to it than that, but I clicked on the link that said to go to his twisted suicide note, and I was reading this suicide note, and then there's
Your
a
name
paragraph. Yeah.
Now, you hadn't talked to him in a long time?
No. What happened was that this was probably about the same time that you were painting this picture. He was emailing me. We'd been friends for a long time. He lived in Canada, and he gave me my first shot on television, and he was very supportive. And then I think he might have had bipolar or something, where he would write a lot of stuff, and it was all really clever, funny, little poems or sketches or emails or whatever, and send them to me. So it got a little weird. And then his wife emailed me and said, look, I don't know what's going on with you and my husband, but, you need to stop the communication and stuff. And I was like, okay. I did read her letters at a show. But then one night I came into my house and the phone was ringing, and I picked it up, and it was her. And she was like, look, because he had still been writing to me, and I'd been like, hey, I'm not supposed to write you back, And I could hear him in the background going, sorry, Bonnie, sorry. And so I agreed that I would never contact him again, that was it. She was like, she said a lot of weird stuff. They were always having some problems, but in the note so I hadn't spoken to him since that time. And so then when he emailed me, he tweeted me a couple times, and then he emailed me, and I was like, oh God, it's been so long. They're probably not even together anymore. I should just email him back. And so I was thinking about him a lot right before I clicked on that headline. Yeah.
That had to be such a shocker, A, to hear the story, and then see that he brought you up on the day that he killed himself.
Yeah, it's weird to... Yeah, but I think he was drunk writing that. I mean, the letter gets sort of less cohesive, and I'm right at the bottom.
Right. So you feel like at that point he was just rambling, trying to put off doing it. But he actually, and I've never seen this before, in a suicide note, he's saying, listen to her amazing podcast.
Yes.
And then
He
also
plugged the podcast.
coming up with a nickname for your pussy. He actually says...
And then he brought up my boobs, too.
Yes,
on the special, he
because
was
you're
like, I had real
unenhanced.
boobs.
Yeah.
So I said to my friend, I go, it's weird if somebody like would mention your boobs in a suicide note. She goes, he talked about your pussy. Your boobs is the part that bothers you? He talked about your pussy.
Was there anything to the Cold Lake? Did that mean anything?
Well, I grew up in a town called Cold Lake.
Right.
I mean, that was our farm was outside of this town in northern Canada. So he was saying, like, can you believe this girl came from Cold Lake and then married a Jew from New York or whatever? I mean, he was kind of rambling about it. He put Rich down a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
Which I also thought was a funny thing. Like, he's never met the guy,
Right.
and yet I'm about to kill myself, but let me just take a shot at this guy first.
Now, what did Rich have to say about that?
Well, Rich said, don't let anybody find out. I don't want people to think people are killing themselves after they listen to our podcast. So he was really more of a marketing mindset after that.
Yeah, I got obsessed with that because I always get obsessed with, here's a guy who did a bunch of stuff. Why, at some point, does he think...
It was
No.
very sad.
Yeah, it was
very,
you know.
very sad. Because also, my friend and I would always talk about this guy. I was living in LA and he was in Toronto, but we were all corresponding. And she said, I don't know if I believe all these stories, And it was true. They seemed so far-fetched. Like if you wrote, what was the Mike Myers movie that he said he wrote?
it was Wayne's World.
Wayne's World and stuff. Like, why are you living in Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
But then I guess it's all true. Like all the things that he told us that we were kind of like, well, I'm not sure. But
well, now enough that all you got to do is meet somebody and have them go, hey, write this up. Like I knew a guy who just happened to know Eddie Murphy, and whenever he would get an idea, when Murphy was really hot, he would go, oh, write it up, and then a check would just come.
Wow.
And none of these things ever got made. But Murphy would go like, yeah, maybe we can explore that. And a check would show up from the studio if there was anything Murphy wanted to do. So when you're next to Mike Myers, you're writing on the show, and some studio wants Mike Myers, they don't care what the thing is. They'll throw it in.
Right.
But
because he wrote all the sketches, I guess, when he was a writer on SNL.
But the fact that all that, at the end of all that kind of stuff, he just ends up, and what a horrible way that he killed himself, It was just...
It's so sad.
And
but it's weird, too, and it's just like a little weird thing. It's like, he had 2 sons, and he killed him. So his wife and him were divorced, according to that letter. And, but he... I don't want to disparage people who kill themselves, but he killed himself on Christmas Eve or right around Christmas.
Right.
And it's like, now his sons, I just feel like, if Valentine's Day, you can avoid that holiday.
Right.
But for the rest of you, there's nowhere you can go in the world where you can avoid Christmas,
Yeah.
Just feels like something that they have to now.
Well, I read this thing before, and I hadn't thought about it, but the anger that people who commit suicide is that what they're attempting to do is to murder the world. Not so much themselves, but I'm going to kill everything that I know. So that it is done from more of a place of anger than even surrender.
Right.
Boy, we really brought this down in the shitter, huh?
It is, yeah. But, on a lighter note, I can now check that off my bucket list. I've been in someone's suicide note.
To me, the weirdest part about it is that I thought it was strange just me reading it, but the fact that you were probably reading it about the same time on Huffington Post and had to see your name pop up
shocking.
in there.
Well, that was the thing. He sent me an email. And he said, I love your podcast or whatever. He's made some mention of the podcast. And this is why I was having a weird thing like, I should just write him back. And then I was like, you're only going to write him back because he's giving you a compliment about your podcast. And, I was having all these weird things. And then the next email that he sent me, which was the day I think that letter was written, or that they think that he killed himself, he sent me a link to that. That's what he sent me a link to, the letter. But I never clicked it.
Would you have known at the time that was a suicide note, or?
I'm not sure I would have. I mean, I think I would have been. upset by it. But someone said, it's good that you didn't click it, because then you would have had to deal with somebody who was living in LA over the holidays. Like, oh, now do I have to fly to LA? Do I have to contact people? Like, I mean, it really, like, what could I have done?
They
But
couldn't
I would
have done
been.
anything. It really wasn't any of your business. This has nothing to do.
I haven't talked to the guy in like 6 years. I know. It's like,
That's the strangest thing about it, is like somehow. And then the other thing is, like, I wonder if he knew he would have gotten that kind of heat, that the Huffington Post would have picked it up.
I know. I
and
thought
everybody
about
would
that
have
too.
talked
That it
about
was
it.
very, it was weird.
Because I didn't know who he was. I don't follow Canadian television,
Right.
and writers on SNL come and go. But after you look the whole thing over, you're like, yeah, it's a good career. It's a very strong career. There's nothing, to give up on.
But he ended the thing with like, this is why I think he was drunk, because he was like, God is really the devil or something.
Yeah,
it was
right.
like, the world is evil. Happy New Year.
See, that didn't even dawn on me, because it's the way most people I know speak. So they're just like that
I
kind of
think
talk.
parts of it were supposed to be funny. I mean,
Yeah.
he really was a very good writer and a very funny guy. So
You should have tried art therapy.
What's that?
Just painting,
Oh, art therapy.
Art therapy. Just work out your aggression, your
right.
problems.
I should have sent him some pictures of myself.
So we bring that together. What is a stranger obsession? Whether it's our intern Fred or this writer on the day that he
Fred.
killed himself.
Please don't kill yourself.
Well, no.
But if you
'Cause
do, mention our podcast.
The podcast is blowing up, right? I mean, everybody
People
is
like the
talking about it.
podcast. Yeah. But Rich has asked me to also say something else. May I? His CD, Empty Inside, Still Empty Inside, is available on iTunes. Rich Voss.
He is. He's such
He
a
wanted to write it down for me.
Did he think of it
I
now?
might not remember the name of it.
He, by the way, that Unmasked, he was so goddamn strong.
Yeah.
So funny, point after point. But this is the part that would, I still laugh when I think about it. If there was quiet in the room for a second, I would see him panic and go for a joke. And I'm like, dude, you're killing. You don't have to worry. But at two different times, he started to become serious and would either talk about his past or something that was dear to him, and Bonnie would cut him off at the knees.
I don't like to see him like that.
It was so funny and so brutal.
Well, listen, I've heard him talk about the drug stuff like so many times. It's like, I mean, I kind of wish that he would start it up again.
Start doing it again?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would solve a lot of his problems.
You
Just
missed.
do a little bit of crack.
Yeah, you missed the fun days. I brought that up, that he was saying crack when most people were still saying bass,
Yeah.
where you had to make it yourself. He would have already known
He was
where
an
you could cop.
innovator.
Yeah, he was on
He
the
was a real
edge.
pioneer.
He was like, we're going to go get some crack. And I'm like, what is that? Crack? This was pre-New Jack City.
Holy
he was
shit.
out there pre-New Jack City. Remember in New Jack City when they act like they invented it?
Oh, yeah.
They thought they had the greatest invention of all time?
They got the Carter together.
Yeah, they bum rushed to Carter. Now I feel like going home and watching that movie. So is there anyone else obsessed with you that we should be concerned about right now?
I guess I don't know. I find out when you find out.
Yeah.
It turns out. I don't know.
Jay Leno is just going to be sobbing somewhere.
I go through life thinking no one likes me. I think like all the time that everyone hates me. Like I left that Unmasked thinking that you didn't like me, that I was being too like.
Hilarious.
Well, I was like trying too hard or something.
Dude,
You know,
I noticed like after you were just like, I'm done with you. This is done. But I was like trying to say like this is the exact thing, the exact reason why I wanted both you guys to come in and do it together. But because you guys were just gangster killing in that thing. And then even a lot of people who know Rich's stand up and all said to me after, hey, he's even funnier than we thought. Like people who are fans. See, here's one of the things I think Rich goes through is like people never believe that a stand-up is improvising.
Right.
Because so many people have faked it for so long.
Right.
Like, I don't think they know how quick he is.
I know. I mean, it really is I think it's his best skill. I think he thinks that everyone can do it. So he doesn't even hold it in he doesn't even think it's like a great quality of his.
Right.
You know, he's like, because I'll be like, just do the whole show talking to the audience. He's like, no, I'm just going to do material.
Right.
No.
Because that's somehow more important
He
to the
thinks,
world.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think he also, like, sometimes people think, like, oh, he's just fooling around up there. They don't realize it's actually harder.
Right.
than just doing material. But it is a really like amazing skill that he has. If you go see him live, it's
Well, I think
amazing.
that's the beauty of the podcast, though, is that people then can go, okay, we get it in this context. I don't think they get it in the context of a club. And even club owners don't get it.
Right.
Like club owners will go, yeah, well, you had one hot night, but what's going to happen tomorrow night?
Right.
You know, they don't always believe that a person
But he always does.
Yeah.
Well. He does. But I think too the club owners think like he'll take the piss out of the club, he'll take the piss out of the waitresses, and then people get sensitive to that. They're like, oh, or like a couple of people will leave, and then they'll be like, hey, we had to give 2 people their money back,
Yeah,
like,
God forbid. God forbid there's anybody that walks out. Like, everyone who comes in belongs there. See, there used to be a thing in the early days where if you go back to, like, I don't know, like the really early shit, like Lenny Bruce, you had to be cool to get into a club. You know what I mean? Like, you had to get into the Hungry Eye. You had to be like, you know what? I'm comfortable to sit there when black people play jazz. You know what I mean? Because not all white people were.
Right.
Or to
but I
hear
can
someone
tell by
say
your
fuck.
hat that you really fit in.
Yeah. So at that point, it was considered like, I'm going to show up. Now it's like, okay, the comedy club is in a mall. It should be unoffensive. It should be for everybody.
Well, it's weird because there's never been it's never been a time where comedy was unoffensive. It's like, it's weird. People think like, oh, comedy today. It's like, well, no, that's from the beginning. That's what it was,
Well, right. Well, you always had to walk whatever that line was.
Right.
If you go back to the court jester, that guy had to somehow fuck with the king without getting killed.
Right. And sometimes he got beheaded. Right.
Which is like getting, fired in the middle of the week. It's the same exact thing.
Well, it's a little
worse.
different.
A little worse?
I guess human lives didn't count for as much back then.
So now that you guys are doing this, how long before you go, all right, where can we go with it? Because it's funny as shit.
I don't know. I mean, the reason that, Rich has been wanting to do the podcast for a while, and I was like, I'm not doing it. I mean, I'm really lazy in a lot of ways, and I didn't want to do it. I don't know why. I really didn't want to do it. And then him and Bobby Kelly, they convinced me that I wouldn't have to do anything. Like, I just have to show up for an hour a week, do it. I don't have to prepare anything. So that's how it came about. I don't really want it to be some big thing.
You want this to be the end of it. This is where it ends.
Yeah. I'm not motivated by money. I guess that's like part of being a wife. Like, you don't have to like worry so much. But I don't really like that. I don't do things for money. But I do things for fun.
Have you always been that way?
Always. Yeah. I mean, I've had to like make money as I go through life. Yeah.
Right. But it was always just about experience for you.
Yeah.
Experience was first.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, what a ride you're on now, you and Rich Voss.
Yeah, whoa, man, it is tremendous. I mean, who thought that back when I was milking a cow, that a Jew would come along and just...
And he's already training that kid against you. I hope that you're aware of that. He works that kid constantly.
I know, but it'll never happen.
No.
It'll never happen. She's so good. She's so funny.
Well, she's like a show business kid, though, right? I mean, she's like old school show business kid.
Yeah, she's funny because she came into stand up New York with us one night and she goes, oh, I gotta get on stage. It's been forever. At that time, I think she was 3. So Rich was on stage. And he goes, oh, well, he was going on. He goes, okay, you can come on. When I say I need a volunteer from the audience, you come up. So he's on stage doing his thing. She keeps walking in to the showroom past the curtain, and then she walk out, and then and she's like, oh, like a real comic waiting for the guy to get off. And then he stops and he's doing something, and she thinks he's going to call her up, and he starts another joke, and she goes, ah, and he heard her. He goes, take it easy.
That is so adorable. And that's in her blood to be like, no matter how well the other person's doing, you're like, please, just get down so I can get up.
I know. Well, we had to tell her, too. We go, because she used to do her bits when she was little. She would come up and she had her bits, and she would do them, and it was funny. And one of them was I would yell at her, like, we have this plan, let's go. And she would just get this huge grin on her face. It was really funny. One time I asked her what her favorite thing to do on stage. She goes, "Oh, I like it when you yell at me." But I think it's because it got such a big laugh from the audience.
Right.
You know? But then she started going up where she would just kind of want to dance or sing or, whatever. So Rich and I had to sit down with her where we're like, this is work, okay? You want to do the work? You can come on stage, but there's no more of this, trying to sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, okay? You got to be funny up there. So now she's like, okay, I want to go on stage tonight. And we look at her and she goes, no, I'll do my bits. I'll do my bits.
No math homework. Let's get going.
Yeah.
Here's Andrew wants to talk about your podcast. And the podcast, Fez, why don't you be live, you guys, doing some plugs?
It is My Wife Hates Me, starring Rich Voss and Bonnie McFarlane. You get it at riotcast.com/mywifehatesme.
All right, 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. Here's Andrew in New Jersey. Say hi to Bonnie, Andrew.
Hey, Bonnie. Pleasure to talk to you. I'm obsessed with your podcast. I'm in the middle of the 7th episode now, and I have one thing to ask you. What attracted you to Rich? Because, he's got the street smarts. He'll be able to survive anywhere, but, you're so much more intelligent than he is. I don't understand.
Oh, not if you talk to him. What attracted me to him? I'm going to have to really go deep on this one. I don't know. I think he was really good at sort of, I remember he was trying to get me to go to San Francisco to hang out with him. I was living in Los Angeles. He was in New York, and I was like, I'm not going. I'm not going. And he was like, you need to pack up your fears, put them in your suitcase, and get on that plane. And I remember thinking, I don't know why it worked on me. And I went to San Francisco.
Because at that point you had your fears in the bureau?
Yes,
or they were still hanging in the closet?
I hadn't dealt with my fears.
Yeah.
I got them from the dry cleaners, and I never took that bag off.
Well, Rich is a charismatic guy.
When he wants to be, he's very charming. Yeah. One time we were having phone sex, and I don't know how dirty I'm allowed to go here, but when first of all, I just called him to talk, but we didn't really have that kind of relationship yet, where it was just we'd hook up. And so he immediately thought I wanted phone sex, and then I didn't know what to do, so I just went through with it. And he said during phone sex, he's good at phone sex because he can just talk. He doesn't like any no empty space. So he said, he goes, "You have one of the best tasting pussies." And I remember thinking, let it go, just finish up, don't bring it up. But afterwards, I had to be one of. It's a fantasy. You can't just go with the best. Come on. What am I, the top 5?
I think the funny thing there, too, about phone sex is, once you've had it, then it becomes, an every time thing. It's just expected after that. Anytime it's after midnight.
Someone calls.
Yeah, all right, let's go. How did you start doing stand-up up in Canada, though?
Well, I moved to Vancouver, and I was doing an internship at a advertising agency, Scally McCabe's Louvres, and my friend, I don't know how I got hooked up with being a hostess at this comedy club, and then I was like, I'm going to start writing for the comedians. That's what I was going to, I was going to have I was going to be a gag writer, do some ads. I was going to have this, fully functioning boutique shop, and people were like, "You're out of your mind. We don't make any money. There's
we're not
no
going
way."
to pay you.
So they kept saying, the comedians were really cool. They were really supportive. They kept saying, "You got to just try it, just try it, just try it." So I'd written jokes for almost a year before I tried it, and then when I did it, it just sort of. I was in New York within the year.
Well, you have such natural. Your speaking voice is timing. You know what I mean?
I'm really good.
Most people have to work on timing, but you'll do some straight lines and people will laugh.
Oh, yeah.
And people look at you and you're like, what? No, I just told you something horrible. I just told you, even when you were telling the story about how you felt bad about the guy that killed himself, I was trying not to laugh because I'm like, well, I can see that she's, moved here. 866-RUN-0-FEZ, 866-RUN-0-FEZ. Here's Mikey Boy. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. I've been enjoying the podcast, but I thought it was kind of funny that in the very first episode, in the first 5 minutes of the first podcast, Bonnie starts talking about you guys and actually claims that Fez only has one testicle.
What? Well, Fez only does have one testicle, but it's really big, right? And it kind of takes
it's a double.
It takes the place for both.
I forgot about that.
See, that's also the awful thing about doing radio is that you will say a lot of shit to fill time, and then people will hold you to it. Right. As if later. Like, the worst thing that can ever happen to you when you do radio is that someone quotes you and puts it up somewhere.
Right.
Because you're like, this is so out of context.
Right.
Mikey Boy, what do you think of the podcast?
I like it a lot. They got a great dynamic. It's kind of like the I like the Unmasked a lot too. It's a great listen. The show, everything. So.
Yeah, actually Rich said, good, you could come on to me that after we did that thing. He says, you should come on and just be our moderator of our podcast because to keep it moving along. But I do think that the dynamic of two people married, I can't believe it's not done in radio more.
A married couple. But it's hard to find a married couple where, that the one isn't the pushover, I guess.
Yeah, that is true. Or the fact that you both have a really separate, different way of being funny.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then somehow that works together. Hysterical. Let's go over here. Hi, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah.
Bonnie, I love the podcast. You're super funny.
Thank you.
Sexy. I wanted to ask, when's the movie coming out that you and Rich are doing?
Never. It's probably never.
It's going to be out.
It's taking so long. It's just, if I'd known when I started it was going to be this much work. But we actually finished it, and then an editor and a producer came along and said we can make this a little bit better. So now we've opened it up again. So I would say 4 weeks till it's done, and then I have no idea what happens after that.
It's so weird because I interview a lot of people who do documentaries, and they'll go, oh, I've been working on this 12 years. I'm like, why bother?
Well, I said to Rich when we started, I go, I'm not going to be doing this like 3 years. Like, let's just get it done in a year. And now it's like we're working on 3 years.
Yeah, and it's not that uncommon.
Yeah.
It really isn't. And everyone thinks, well, without a script, it'll be easier, but it's just not true.
Well, we had to take 60 hours and boil it down to an hour and 15 or an hour and a half or whatever it is.
All right. Well, we got to go to break here. Thanks so much for
thanks for having me. It was
coming
so
by.
Fun. Love it.
You can always stop by here. And again, this kid.
Let's have a hug.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh.
That was really satisfying.
It was really. You look like you were going to faint there for a second.
I don't know how to feel right now.
It's hard to cuddle. It's like a little bag of bones.
He is.
Yeah.
It's. You really should just dress up like the Scarecrow, because you got a Ray Bolger thing going, and people loved him, dude. Seriously, don't even.
He does well. He does well on his own.
Yeah.
The ladies.
Well, thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Fez, do your read. You do it so nice.
My Wife Hates Me, the podcast with Bonnie McFarlane and Rich Voss. You can find those episodes on riotcast.com/mywifehatesme. And, of course, Rich Voss's new CD, Still Empty Inside, available at iTunes.